ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्यस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहैतुकी। So, chapter 19, verse number 1. Sri Sukha Uvacha क्रीडासक्तेषु गोपेषु तद्गावो दूरचारिणीः स्वैरं चरन्तयो विविशु तृणलोभेन गह्वरम्. So they were playing. We read in the previous chapter how the cowherd boys, they were busy playing, and then Pralambasura came. So he caused some disturbance, he was killed. So they continued their play. The children like to play. So therefore it says Krida Sakteshu Gopeshu. So the cowherd boys, they were very much absorbed in their games. So in the meantime what happened? Tad gavo duracharani. So the cows they went grazing and went far away. Swaram Charanta, because they were free, no one was watching them. The boys who were supposed to watch them, they were busy playing. So the cows went away. So why did they go? Vivisho Trinalobhena Gavaram. Because they were very eager to have more and more grass. So they went deep into the forest. So this is what happens if you don't control your senses. Go means cow, go also means senses. So if you don't take care of your senses and you become busy, then senses run here and there wherever they find. Senses want sense objects, right? That's their business. So they are looking for where I can get nice green grass. It's food for the senses. If they see this, they go there. If they see that, they go there.
Chocolate, ice cream,
Yes,
pizza.
anything. So this is what happens if you are not observing, if you are not mindful, if you are not aware, then senses run around crazy. So durcharani, they go away. Going away means going away from the purpose for which they are meant. And gavaram means deep. So they get completely entrenched in the sense objects. So that is what this chapter describes. And then they get into trouble. ऊनविंशे मुद्रिताक्षान् मुञ्जाटव्यां दवानलात् रक्षन् भाण्डीरमापय्य स्वान् मुक्ताक्षान् व्यदाधरि. So in the 19th chapter there is a description that there was a fire in the Munjatvi, this forest of this grass called Munja. So Krishna asked the cowherd boys to close their eyes, and then he protected them and also transported them to Bhandira, one where they were originally. And then he asked them to open the eyes. So this is what is being described here. So tat tadanantaram. So the word tat means after that. Means this is a continuation of what was happening in the previous chapter. Durcharanihi Durcharanya. So it should have been Durcharanya. Somehow it is made as Durcharani. So it will be Prathama Bahuvachan, not Dvitiya Bahuvachan. Aja Gavo Mahishyascha Nirvishantyo Vanad Vanam Ishikatvim Nirvivishu Krandantyo Davatarshitaha. So the goats, cows and buffaloes, they moved from one forest to another forest, and in this way they entered into the Ishikatavi. So Ishika is just a type of grass which grows very tall. Although it is sort of grass, but generally you see grass on the ground, but this is not that kind of a grass. It grows tall, you can stand it, it will cover you, that height can go. In the villages they cut it and they make ropes from it. And thatched roof in the mud houses, that is made from this. So they entered into that. The problem is that this can, if it catches fire, then it's very fast because it's very thin, it's like a grass, it's not a big wood. That takes time to catch fire. Now in this sloka he says, Aja Gavo Mahishyascha Nirvishanto Vanadvanam Ishikatvim Nirvivishu Krandantyo Dav Tarshita. So the cows, goats and buffaloes, they've moved from forest to forest, And they entered into this Atavi, the forest of Ishika, this type of thin grass grows tall. And they were very thirsty, and because of that they were making crying sound, krandanta. So it looks like there were also goats and buffaloes. So not only cows. Some people say they didn't belong to Krishna, but other people had. So Krishna is cowherd also, shepherd. So don't think that he is only cowherd. He can also tend goats and buffaloes. So Ishikanam Sarakhya Trinu Visheshanam Atavin. So this Ishika, it's a type of grass. It's called Shara, sharp actually. In Hindi it is called Sarkanda. It comes from this Shara only. Sarkanda dekha? So you also make, this is grass, but in between there is also like a small stem which comes, and it's like a thin bamboo type, and we used to make pen from that for writing. So he says that this Ishika is a type of grass, Tran Vishesha, which is also called Shara in Sanskrit. Shara also means arrow. It means actually sharp. So they entered into that. And Davena Grisma Surya Uttatapena Tarshita Trishnam Prapita. And it was summer, as we already know, it was summer season. So they moved away, and then because of the heat, the cows were very thirsty. And therefore they started moving, looking for water. So then this said that te pashyantah pashun gopaha Krishna Rama deyastada jata anutapana vidur vichinvanto gavam gatim. So then what happened, that the cowherd boys along with Krishna and Balram, they saw that the cows are missing, apashyanta. So then they became very distressed, jatanutapa, na vidur vichinvanto gavam gatim, because they did not know where the cows have gone. So they became very disturbed. All this time they were playing. So that's how the senses put you into trouble. If you don't take care of your senses, if you don't control them, then you get into trouble, because they run around here and there. So they did not see the cows, and now they are in anutapa, they are in distress, or they are repenting. So jata anutapa na vidur na vividu. So vidu should be vividu, because vidu is present tense, right? So veti prabhrite, these 9 are nipatas for vidhatu, we just did in Adadigana. So veti, vitta, vidu. No, veda, vitta, vidu. So it should be vividu, because it's in the past tense. Govishyaka premna eva avrita jnana. So they did not know why, because they were very much attached to their cows, and therefore they lost their comprehensive ability what to do. Right? When you are attached, when you are something, then mind does not work. They got lost. Where are our cows? Suddenly. So they were in big distress because of that. Because children are like that. So I remember we used to take bulls for grazing, and sometimes they go far away, then you start crying. What happened, where they went, because you get lost in the forest. So it's like that. So Trinaistad Khuradat Chinnair Gospadairankitair Gavam Margaman Vagaman Sarve Nashta Jivya Vichetasah. So now you have to search for them. What to do? You have to find. You cannot just stand there and finding big forest area you don't see after a few feet away, a lot of trees around. So that's why generally they tie bells in the neck of the cows. This is the reason. When they go for grazing, you hear the sound. So sound you can hear even if you don't see, right? That's the purpose of putting bells in the neck. So they actually went too far away, so you could not hear any sound or anything. So then how did they trace them? So it says Trinais tat Kuradachinnair Gospadair Ankitair Gavam. So they saw the grass. So if the cows have moved from somewhere, they have eaten the grass, so they saw the grass is eaten here. So they were Radacchinnai, Dacchinnai. So they were cut by their teeth, and also there were marks of their hoofs. So by that they traced, because they saw that there are some marks here, and see the grass has been eaten recently. So by tracing that, they moved. So Margam Anvagaman Sarve Nashta Jivya. So this is how they were searching for the cows. And Nashta Jivya Vichetasa. They were quite Vichetasa, unsettled, because they lost their very means of sustenance. So Tasam Gavam Khurair Dadbhischa Chinnair Trinair Gospadair Ankitair Bhupradeshaischa Lakshitam Gavam Margam. So tracing the path which was treaded by the cows through their footprints, and also the grass which was eaten by their teeth. So through these marks. Nashtajivya Vigata Jivika Sadhana. So they lost their means of sustenance. Munjatavyam Bhrashta Margam Krandamanam Sagodhanam Samprapya Trishita Shranta Tataste Sanyavartayan. So finally they reached this Munjatvi, this forest of this Munja grass or Rishika. So they lost their path and they came to this place. The cows were crying because they have lost their path. So they found it, and they saw that the cows were very thirsty and tired. So they tried to gather them and bring them back, turn them back to their own place. So Munjatavyam Tatraiva Saravane Samprapyata Gavadya Nevartyan Pravartyama. So they found them there, and then they turned back. If you go on the other side of Yamuna, and from there this village is there, Mart, and there is a Nohjheel. If you go on that side, there is a big forest of this Manjatway still. Nohjheel, other side of Yamuna. He used to have a temple there when I used to go. That's where I saw this Manjatway. Tahuta Bhāgavata Megha Gambhiraya Gira Svanamna Nindam Shrutva Pratinedu Praharshita. So then what did Krishna do? So he called them in very deep voice by the names, because all these cows had names. So just like if somebody is lost in the forest, how do you call? You call by the name. So he called, and then when the cows, they heard their own name, then they responded, and they were very happy. So Krishna climbed a big tree, and from there he shouted. So in Sanskrit there is one word, krosha. So this is krosha, means to shout. Krosha is also a measurement of distance. 2 miles is 1 krosha, which now in Hindi they call it kos. So Braj is supposed to be 84 kos, means 84 crores as square, which means 168 square mile. So it is called Krosha because people would previously, when they have to send a message, then they in the village they will go and climb a tree, and from there they shout, and the shout will go 2 miles away. So then the people of the other village, that's how they used to send message. If the king has to make some announcement, that's how they, so it goes from village to village. There were people whose job was that. Their job was to make, in the village there used to be people whose job was to make announcement. Barbers and also some lower class people, they were used for that. Any announcement has to be made, they will go in the village shouting, standing at one corner shouting, so everybody hears. This was the system. So Krishna also did that to call the cows. So samprapya ituktam tatkena prakarena ti akankshyam aha Krishna iti. So how did they find the cows? Because it says nevartanta, they were turning them back. So it describes that Krishna called them by name. Atmanam darshan ga avya masa ta gavadaya. So he showed himself, that means he climbed a tree and then he called the cows. So then they also responded. Tata samantad dhūmaketur yadrichaya bhuta kshaya kridvanokasam samirita sarathinolbanulmakair vilelihana stirajangaman mahan. So when all this was there, now the cowherd boys were also inside this munja, to be this forest, to get the cows. At that time a big fire started. So samantadav dhūmaketu, there was smoke coming up from the fire. Yadricha bhut, so it happened somehow. And shayakrid vanoksham, so it was causing kshaya or loss of life to the residents of the forest. Samirita sarthino ulvana ulmukai, and on top of that the wind was blowing, so it was carrying the fire and the sparks were flowing around. So vileli hanasthir jangaman mahan, so movable and immovable both, they were getting burnt by it in the tongue of the flames. So tadevam gobhi sangati bhuya yadeva tadvan niskramitum actions tadevate davanalena avriyante ityahatate. So when they all gathered the cows together and they were trying to get them out from this forest, just then there was a big fire which surrounded them. That is being described here. So davo vanam, the word dava means forest. Tat sambandhi dhumketu ragni. So dhumketu, dav dhumketu here means the forest fire. Yadrichaya aksham akasmika. Yadrichya means suddenly. Iti ayam api pralambasakaha kaschid daitya iti aho. So some people say that this was also a friend of Pralambasura, who was also hanging around. So when Pralambasura was killed, then he was looking for an opportunity how to take revenge. So when the cows and cowherd boys entered this forest, then by their asuric power they set fire to the forest and started burning. Sarathina Vayuna, so Sarathi here is the air because air carries the fire. Ulbanair ati tivrair ulmukai, so very burning, strong sparks flying around. Because this catches fire easily, grass, and also burns quickly. Nunam tvad bandhava Krishna nacharhantya visiditum vayam hi sarva dharmagya tvannathas tvat parayana. So then the cowherd boys, they approached Krishna and they said that we are your friends, O Krishna, and we do not deserve to be put into this kind of difficulty. So Sarv Dharmagya, knower of Dharma, you are our master and we are devoted to you. So please protect us. So avsaditum avasamantat sadho yesham te avsadas tadvad acharitum narhanti ti achar kibantatvam. So you say that we should not fall into this avsad or this kind of difficulty. Sri Shuka Uvacha. क्या कमेंट्री 10 की है तू 8 पे कहाँ घूम रहा है Okay, I skipped these two verses. Satam apatantam parito davagnim gopascha gava prasamiksh bhita uchuschya krishnam savalam prapanna yatha harim mrityum bhayardita jana. So when they saw this forest fire surrounding them from all sides, all the cowherd boys and cows, they were all terrified, fearful. So they spoke to Krishna and also to Balram, surrendered to them. Just like people who are troubled by death, they surrender to Hari. So Hari is different, Krishna is different. So they said, Krishna Krishna Mahavira, He Rama Mogha Vikrama, Davagnina Dahiya Manana, Manan Prapannan Stratumarhata. Said, O Krishna, O hero, O Balram, who has infallible prowess, we are being burnt by this forest fire. We are surrendered to you, so please protect us. So Uchuschaiti Anena Sarv Durgani Iti Gargokti Manusmritya iti artha. So same, remembering that Gargacharya's prediction that he will cross over all troubles because of this boy. So therefore they approached him. So here this Gopascha Gava, there are 3 different readings it seems. Gopascha Gava iti, Gopasma Gava iti, Gopasa Gava iti, Trayapatha. There are 3 readings. Tatra Sagava iti, Gostriyo ityadina, Hrishatva Bhava Avasha. So he says Sagava should have been Sagava. So this is Arsha usage. There is not much commentary on this. Sagava is different reading. He says there are 3 different readings in this. So he's just commenting on the 3rd reading. It's not in this reading. Nunam tvad bandhava Krishna nacharhanti avsiditum vayam hi sarv dharmagya tvannathas tvat parayana. So he says that, O Krishna, we are your friends and we don't deserve to face such difficulties, such troubles. You are sarv dharmagya, knower of all dharma, which means you should protect those who are surrendered to you. That is the idea. Because you are Tvannatha, you are the master, we are devoted to you. And Dharma says that you should never abandon your people who are surrendered to you. So, avsaditum, avsamantat sadho yesham, te avsada, tadvadacharitum, means those who are fallen into difficult situation. Narhanti, tyachara quip. So there is a quip pratyaya and Tumun is applied on that. It will come later on in Harinamit Vyakaran. So Sri Sukha Uvacha Vacho nishamya kripanam bandhunam bhagwan harihi nimiliyata ma bhashta lochnani itya bhashataha. So when Krishna heard the request of these pitiable friends, then he asked them that please close your eyes and do not fear. So he said like that. So the meaning is that your senses are running here and there, bring them back, focus inside, and then problem will be solved. So nimilyata iti tesham agnipan darshana anochityam tathaiva alakshitah tatah sthanat tesham atishrantanam atisantaptanam alakshitam eva atishushītal suchaya bhandira taru tal prapnai auchityam cha paramirshi. So why did Krishna say to close the eyes? Because he said it is not proper that they see me drinking the fire, because then they will get troubled, that we have put him in trouble. So he says close your eyes. And also he wanted to take them out of this position and bring them to Bhandirvan, and without them knowing. So you just close eyes, and then no fire, and suddenly you are transported to this other place which is cool. There is shade there under the Bhandira tree. So that's why thinking like this, he told them. Nanu aho kautukin lochana nimilne katham agni parihara tatraha. So if they say that you are a very strange person, how can the fire be put off by closing eyes? It's like when you fear, then close your eyes and go under the sheet. So the fear is gone. That's what he's saying. Children do that. So he's saying just close your eyes. So then he says, no, don't fear, ma bhashta. Tato anyatha adyana tran heturasti. If you don't do that, then cannot protect. तथेति मीलिताक्षेषु भगवान् अग्निमुल्बणं पीत्वा मुखेन तान् कृच्छाद् योगाधीशो विमोचयत् ततश्चैतीक्षिणी उन्मील्य पुनर्भाण्डीरमापिता निशम्य विस्मिता आसन्नात्मानं गाश्च मोचिता. So then the children, they listened to him and they closed their eyes. And then Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is the master of yoga, he drank the fire, the terrible fire, with his mouth, and in this way he released them from this difficulty. And after that he asked them to open their eyes, and when they opened their eyes, they were at the Bhandira one. They were also transported to their place where they were playing. So seeing this, they were very surprised that we have come here, and they saw that all the cows and they themselves are free from the trouble. So bhovayasva vanni vishadinam upsamakam manimantra mahosdhikam aushadha adikamayam Krishna bahutaram janati. So one of the cowherd boys, he said that, look friends, this Krishna, he knows some mantras, how to take care of fire, snake bite, poison, all that. He can quell this. So he knows some mantra, some medicine, etc. He knows many things like that. But these things don't work when everybody is watching. So they have to be done, like mantra chanting is not to be done in public. So it says viviktam vinana siddhet. It does not happen if you are not in a solitary place. So now how to find solitary place? So one is that he has to go far away, then there is no time. He just close eyes. So if you close eyes, he is solitary. So atra janasanghate asmakam lochana nimilnameva viviktam. So here we are so many of us. So if we close our eyes, that itself is solitary for him. So Thus it is described here. Bhagavan Maheshwariya Shakti Yukta. So he is called here as Bhagavan, means who has got great powers. Tivramapi tam pitva iti tatra pipasayam jatayam tadichha pratikulam acharitum asamartha swagnireva mahabibhyat saddeva param susital sugandh madhur raspanaki bhuya tadiya kar kamal tale यदैव गंडूष मातृ बभूव तदैव योगाधीशो मुखेन पीत्वा इत्यनेन तदीय योग माया एव शक्ति prakti bhuya. So then what happened, that when Krishna desired to drink the fire and he was thirsty, so then fire did not want to do something which is against the will of the Lord, means burning his face or going into face. So then fire became terrified that how can I enter into his mouth. So then suddenly the fire became very cool, fragrant and sweet in taste, became liquefied. Because water comes from fire, right? Sankhya philosophy. So fire became liquid, and becoming liquid came onto his palm, and he drank that. So it became just one mouthful of water. Tadeva yogadhisho mukhena pitva. So then he drank it with his mouth. Ityanena tadiya yoga maya eva shakti prakti bhuya tadapi etat smartam anuragardri chitta bhaktanam dussaha dukpradam ityuktva tad kartalad achidya saiv mukhena papo iti labhyate. So now when it came on his palm, then also Yogamaya thought it is not good that if he drinks it, because then the devotees are going to think that, oh, he drank fire and it is very painful for them. So then Yogamaya drank it. So that's why the word Yogadhisha is used here. So tatpan upcharo bhut. So therefore, although it is Yogamaya who drank it, it is described as if he drank it. So yadva, or you can give another explanation. It says yadva mukhena upayena pitva. So here it says that mukhena, mukha means mouth, but mukha also means means. So he says that kasa tasmineva tat upayas tatraha yogadhisha iti yogashvara shakti reviti. So then it means yogadhisha mukhena. Mukhena does not mean with the mukha, with the mouth, but with the means of his yoga, yogashvarya. So what is the proof that mukha means upaya? He quotes in this kosha, mukham prasarne vaktre upaya. So the word mukha means to spread, means mouth. It also means a means. So tatraha yogadhisha, prarambha upayorapi iti medni. So this is found in the Medni Kosh. Krishrat grahavar praveshat trish samadhi janita takshanam eva bhandaram nitva tan amochya dityartha. So he released them from this difficult situation. Otherwise they were inside this deep Ishika forest and they were tired. So he also in one moment transported them, and in this way released them from fire and also from the trouble of walking back. Tatascha bho sakhaya mahagne pratikaro maya kritah sampratam akshini unmilyata iti krishnena uktastena punarakshini unmilya atmanam mochitam gascha mochita nishamya gyatva vishmita asan iti anvaya. So then when he did this, then he asked them that please open your eyes. And when they opened the eyes, they saw that there is no fire, and they are all along with the cows in the Bhandiravan. near this Bhandira tree, this Vatavriksha. So they saw that they had been released from the trouble. So they were all very surprised. Kidrisha Bhandiram apitaha tenaiva iti sarvatra yajna. So they were brought to the Bhandira by him. Just to be understood. Krishnasya yogviryam tad yogmayanubhavitam davagnirātmane kshemam vikshate menire amram. So after seeing this yogic power of Krishna and his power of his yogamaya, how he protected them from the forest fire and brought them welfare, they thought that this Krishna is some devta. He is not just a human being, but he is some Amara. So Amara Nirjara Deva. So he is some Deva. Tadrish Aishwarya Darshane api tesham vishuddha prem maitrit matam tad achadakam Aishwarya jnanam arjunadinam iva na babhuvetya. So although they saw this Aishwarya of Krishna, this is naturally Aishwarya, that he protected them, the fire, he transported them there, so this is Aishwarya. But because they have so much intense love for Krishna, even after seeing this Aishwarya Gyan of Krishna could not cover their love for Krishna. Unlike in case of Arjuna, when Arjuna saw the Aishwarya of Krishna, then he became terrified and he started praying and asking for forgiving him, that I have offended you by calling Hey Krishna, Hey Sakha, and so on. So this did not happen to the cowherd boys. Krishnasya yoga maya shaktya anubhavitum gyapitam yog viryam. So by his yoga maya shakti they became aware of Krishna's yoga virya, his yogic powers. Yoga apurva artha samprapto iti vishvakoshad apurva artha samprapkam virya prabhavam. That he has got some extraordinary power to do some extraordinary things. Tat atmakshemam vikshya. So they saw their own kshema, their own welfare done by him, their own good. So tam Krishnam amaram dev vishesham menire. So they thought that he is some special deva, because devas have such powers. Natu tadapi yesham swasambandhasya sathilya gandhopi geyo. But even after thinking that he is some deva, they did not started thinking that he is not our friend. How can he be our friend? Or we should worship him. They did not think. Rather what they thought is, yataha khalu ayam asmakam sakha manushya ashakya karmana deva na manusha iti tatascha etat sakhatvad vayam api deva. So they thought that this guy is a deva because he is doing superhuman things. But he is our friend. Friendship is between equals. So we also must be there. So this is a good news, we are all devas. So you see, they did not think that he is deva and we are human beings and we cannot be friends, now we should respect him, he is superior. No. It says he is deva and we are friends. So then what does logic say? We are also deva. So we are equal. Only thing is that he has got little extra power. We also have. So that's how they did not think of honoring or worshipping him and then feeling how can we be friendly with him. So therefore he says, Eva इति अतुल्यत्वे सख्या असंभवात् इति अनुमाय आनंदमत्ता ते बभूव. So they thought that since he is our friend and friendship is always between equals, so therefore what does it, you can make 5-step syllogism to prove that how they are also Deva. So cowherd boys are Deva because they are friends with Krishna. And Krishna is a Deva and friendship is between equals. You have to actually make 2 Anuman. One would not, So there we are also Deva. And then they became very happy. Then they started jumping up and down more and more. So there are 2 more slokas in this chapter. We will complete it. Sagasinnavartya sannivartya sayane saharamo janardana venum viranayan goshtham agada gopairabhishtutah gopinam paramananda ashid govinda darshane kshanam yugshatam iva yasam yena vina bhavat. So then in the evening, gathering all the cows, Krishna along with Balram, while playing on his flute, entered Goshtha, being praised by the cowherd boys. And the gopis, they experienced supreme bliss by seeing him, because for them one moment of separation from him was like 100 yugas. So they were burning from separation from him. So this is the end of 19th chapter. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is commenting on this word Janardana. So Saharamu Janardana. He said Janan Vanastha Sthavara Jangama Lokan Swavirham Ditsuhu Pidayati. Because when he goes in the evening from the forest to village, so then what happens that all the living beings who are in the forest, whether they are trees, plants, or moving, or birds in the sky, so now he is giving them separation, and in this way making them suffer, because Ardayati is also means troubling. Janan Ardayati. And Vrajastha Jananstu Swasangamam Ditsu Tam Yachaya Ti. But at the same time, Arda also means to beg. So he's like making them beg. Yachayati, Nich Pratyaya. So he is like giving trouble to them when he is going home and giving bliss of his association to the Vraja people. So that is the meaning of Janardhan. Goshtha Pravesha Samaye Vrajasthanam Sarveshameva Tatsangam Anande Sati Api. So although all the people, they feel blissful when Krishna enters Vraja. But specifically Vrajeshwari Adinam Param Vatsalanam Anand Adhikyam Chaturdash Adhyaye Barha Prasuna Ityadina Gopi Drigut Sabdrishi Pravivesha Goshtamiti Padyena Varnitameva. So specifically Yashoda, Rohini Mata and all other elderly gopis who were eagerly waiting for him, they feel very blissful. And he says this was already described in the 14th chapter. Now another people are being described here. Ataha idanim preyasinam gopinam anandamaha. Now he is talking about the gopis who are his preyasis, who are his beloveds, not the elderly gopis, that was already said. So now he is moving, his description is moving towards the beloved gopis. So Paramananda iti मुक्त प्रग्रह वृत्त्या आनंदस्य जाति प्रमाणाभ्याम आधिक्यम आत्यंतिकम एव न तो अपेक्षिकम इति जैन. So here he says that Paramananda has to be taken, it's an ultimate meaning, means this ananda which these gopis are experiencing, this is supreme or superior to the one which is experienced by other Brajvasis, including the elderly gopis, in the class, the type, and also the intensity pramana. So therefore it is not in comparison with anything, but it is the ultimate. Nanu kasta gopyas. So who are these gopis? Tad asadharana lakshanena parichayati itya. So here no name is given, but indirectly it is being described. The indication or what you call introduction to of these gopis is being given by their symptoms or asadharan lakshana, the special characteristic, the defining characteristic. So what is that? Kshanam yugshatam iva. That one moment of separation appears to be like 100 yugas. Sloklibatvam arsham yena krishnena vina yugshatam iva iti. So without Krishna they feel as if one moment is equal to 100 yugas. Kshanasya yugshataya manatvam rati prema sneha mana pranaya raga anuraga mahabhavanam uttrotter prem bhumika nam antimasya mahabhavasya lakshanam. So this is the definition of Mahabhava, one of the characteristic of Mahabhava, which is the ultimate limit of the prema, beginning from Rati, Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav. So ultimate manifestation of prema is called Mahabhava. So this is described in Ujjwal Nilmani, that in this one of the characteristic is that the momentary separation is like 100 yugas. So Krishna also says this in 11th Canto to Uddhava. So Chanardha Punasta Kalpa Vibhuva. So that's what is being said here. Mahabhavatyo Vrishbhanu Nandani Prabhrite Jaya. So therefore this he says these are gopis who have Mahabhav like Vrishbhanu Nandani, Srimati Radha and her Sakhis, Lalita Vishakha, etc. So although the name is not mentioned, and this is what Vyanjana Vritti is, this is the indirect way of explaining. Many times people say no name of Radha, yes, no name because there is no need. So here it is being described by their unique characteristic. So this is the end of 19th chapter. Any question on this?
I have a question related to the reason that the fire started was the summer.
Anything else? Yes.
I didn't quite catch that explanation of the Yachaka for Janardana. Could you please repeat that again?
So one is Janardaya, Jananardayati iti Janardana, one who gives trouble to people. So that is Janardana. Ardha Dhatu also means Yachane, to beg. So he says that when he is leaving the forest, then he is giving trouble to them, the forest people, plants, trees, etc. And then he is coming there, he is making them beg, please come, we are waiting for you. So he is Janardana. So he applies it both ways.
Okay, thank you.
In this last commentary, Klivatvam Arsham. Klivatvam Kshanam.
Kshana hona चाहिए ना, kshana.
So Babaji, the previous fire, that Asura, if I've understood this correctly, was a friend of Kaliya, and this one was a friend of Pralambasura?
Yes. So material world is compared to forest fire, sansar davanal, right? So Krishna is the protector of that. Otherwise people burn in the forest fire. Okay.
Babaji, I just had one small doubt. So basically, when you said that, from the beginning of the class, you started explaining about keeping our senses in check and in control. So when this description was there, that close your eyes, that means putting the senses to Krishna.
Yes.
Does it mean okay?
Alright.